Ed Arango here from Ed's Auto Garage, wanting to give a shout out to our show sponsor, Arango Insurance Services. Arango Insurance Services is a full service insurance agency. We do home, auto, commercial, and any specialty. We specialize in the automotive space. So if you are a restoration shop, an OEM shop, a componentry manufacturer, we're able to insure you. It's a great time right now to have your policy reviewed, see if we can save you money, make sure you are properly insured, and at least evaluate your policy. See if you're in the right spot. So give us a shout out at Arango Insurance Services. You can reach us at our website, www.arangoins.com, or give us a call at 949-887-1274. Enjoy the podcast. We'll talk to you later. Welcome everybody to another episode of Ed's Auto Garage. Again, Ed Arango here, coming to you from my garage here in Huntington Beach, California. It's a beautiful day today. It's 2022, and today we have a great guest. A little different, a little skew in the direction that I normally go with the podcast. Today we're going to be speaking to Paige Sigband, and Paige has I guess a design studio, and we're going to learn a little bit about what she does. She's kind of steered the design, apparently steered the design more towards kind of the garage. And since I'm in my garage, and my garage is embarrassing, but she does some pretty remarkable work. So Paige, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Thanks, Ed. Good to be here.
Thank you. So Paige, why don't you kind of bring us all up a little bit to speed on maybe a little bit of your background, maybe your education, how you got into design, and what direction you originally went with your design.
Sure. I'll tell you first how the business started, and then I'll give you a little background. So I'll kind of do the reverse.
All right.
So I started doing garages about halfway through the pandemic. Had a few friends reach out and ask for help with their garages. As you know, everybody was staying home and wanted a house project, and some people were working out of their garages or wanting to create workout spaces, or they just wanted to revamp their garage. And so I helped a few friends out. And then I got a call from a producer who was putting together a show, a series for Motor Trend. And it was a collaboration with Castrol and HGTV. And they were looking for a designer. And it was for a series called Garage Rescue. And at first, I thought it was my friends playing a joke on me, calling me, and because I just happened to be doing garages, and it turned out to be real. And we did 3 episodes, and I absolutely loved working with auto enthusiasts. And so after that experience, I decided, you know what, I want to steer my business in this direction, just do garages, because I had been doing interior design, and there's 101 interior design, more than that. There's so many designers out there, but how many of them are doing garage design? So
yeah. And it's funny because the garage is really turned into an extension of one's home.
Right, exactly. But prior to this, I've had a varied background in design. Went to school for graphic design, and then got my master's in furniture design. So the garage is it's no stranger to me. Used to working with wood and metal and you name it, fiberglass, just not cars. So the garage is one of my favorite rooms in the house. And in another field I worked in was museum exhibit design. So, which I think that plays a big part with the garage design, especially working with car collectors and getting to know them and what they love, and treating their garage space like a museum, and taking their artifacts and their prized possessions and then making a really unique home for them. So
Interesting. So when you were doing furniture design, did that lean over, or did you take aspects of that to maybe help with uh counter designs or workspace designs for the garage itself?
Sure. Yeah. In particular cabinet design and coming up with unique storage options for clients, and then working with contractors and cabinet makers here to get those designs realized, for sure.
Yeah, because I can imagine. I mean, like myself, I mean, if I could redo my design, or my garage, I should say, one of my main things is try to optimize as much of my space for storage and be able to give it a very clean look, but a place for everything and everything in its place type of a thing.
Right.
Which I would assume, as we all know, someone's garage can turn into, we've all driven down the street and seen that garage door open. It's like, right to the edge full of stuff. And you're like, oh man, that guy's never going to get that thing cleaned out of there, but it is a lot to do with trying to keep the area space freed up as much as possible. I would think, in with some of the museum work that you've done, they have been car collectors level of museums. Is that what you've actually worked on?
I'd say so. I did work with the Smithsonian.
That's pretty. That's setting the bar kind of high. What the hell?
Yeah. No, actually, there was a car in. I'm trying to think what exhibit I had, but I worked on the International Spy Museum, which was a really cool, immersive museum. I lived in Washington, D.C. for about 10 years before I moved out here. But one of the museums was the International Spy Museum, and then we had an Aston Martin, because James Bond was one of the pop culture icons that we featured in the museum. So it was the whole history of espionage.
Oh wow!
And so yeah, I sneak a car in there. Yeah.
And we saw where we met at just at the Legacy show here in Tustin. Have you gone and are you showing at, or I guess putting up your 10 by 10 at other events or around SoCal, or is that something you want to do? Or
I'd like to. I'd like to check out some more cars and coffee events. I happen to really love this one that my friend Royce Rumsey puts on. It's spectacular, and it draws some really serious car collectors.
It does.
So I think I've been having a great time participating in that event and meeting new people there. So, but yeah, I'm open to new ideas.
So when a client reaches you for a garage makeover, let's call it that,
Mm-hmm.
And in most, I would assume in a lot of situations, they just have a lot of clutter, a lot of junk, and a lot of stuff just in the garage. I would assume, to some degree, is that something you help them get through and kind of purge through it, or you tell them, I'll be back when all this stuff's out of here? Or
Of course. Yeah, we are full service garage design. We handle everything soup to nuts. So if that means clearing out the garage and preparing the space, we will get dirty. We will do that. And that's actually one of the main reasons that people really procrastinate getting their garages done, because they have so much stuff and they just don't know where to put it. It's just the logistics of, getting it all cleared out, because from the start, if you want new flooring, everything has to come out. And even cabinets, you can't just push everything to one side and then have the cabinets go in, and then push everything to the other side and have the cabinets go in on the other side. you really have to get a storage container to put all of this. And that's one of the things I do recommend, is getting one of the, like a pod or something on site that you can store everything, but still have access to your goods. But yes, we do handle that. And I have professional organizers that I work with who can come in after the install and put everything back into the cabinets in the most perfect containers, labeled. And it just makes your life so much easier. Everything's easy to find and it looks very clean and visually organized.
Yeah, because I mean, I could imagine that one of the struggles that people have is that they just don't know. I mean, I'm sure they sit there and they kind of go, man, I've got my garage, but I've got all this stuff in there, and they don't even know where to begin in a lot of cases. And I guess is if you guys can kind of ease that mindset of theirs to say, listen, we can help you kind of make a nice sweet spot for your collector car, or for your car, or just your extra extension to your home, be it acting like your office, quote, garage, quote, workspace. I mean, I guess that, that would resonate really well with folks. How, in the area here, you've done a number, I'm assuming you've done, number of work, some work here in the Huntington, Newport, Costa Mesa area, with homes and what have you. I'm just curious, we're about, for example, I am about, I don't know, 4 or 5 minute walk to the water, just right up the street. When we moved into this house, I don't know if you can see my floor. My floor is the back in here.
Are those the Swiss tracks? Is that what you have?
Yeah, they're, what are they called? Race deck or something like that.
Uh-huh.
They're kind of like Legos. They snap together.
Right.
Pros and cons, nothing against them, but there's pros and cons to it. But the reason we went with that here at this house and didn't do an epoxy flooring was because we were always told that, the epoxy, guys, the moisture in the ground, and it's, after a while it'll start peeling up. Is that true?
Yeah, yes, it can be. It just depends on if you have a quality installer, and they can put different levels of like these undercoatings. I don't know the actual term, but they do a treatment before they put the epoxy on to have that added protection. And so I really vet the companies that I work with to make sure that that bubbling and peeling is not going to happen down the road.
So, okay. So that's good to know. Yeah. Cause I mean, that was kind of one of those things that I went to this and, I've had pros and cons with this type of flooring, just because it looks really nice. I can get mop and glow out, clean out everything out of the garage, mop and glow, and it looks nice and clean and shiny. But if I want to do work on my car, it's hard. I can't put, like, if I put the jack or something like that, it'll dent it. So those things are kind of like, kind of a pain in the butt, but it is what it is here. So a client calls you. What are the steps you take them through to do the garage? I'm assuming that a majority of, I don't know, maybe not. Majority of times would be clients that they're doing it because they want to showcase their cars, or maybe they want to make it a nice gym or a nice office space or something.
Sure. Yeah, I get calls from both folks that want a showroom experience. They want to be able to entertain their friends when they come over, have a drink out in the garage. It's really like a social gathering. And then there are some that want a working garage, or they have families and they need practical storage. So there's really all kinds. And so the first step is, to have a conversation and see kind of what their needs are, get to know them, and then decide if I'm a good fit or not. They may just need cabinets and epoxy floor. And if that's the case, there's plenty of companies out there that just do that. And that may be all they need. And I'm not the right person. But for me, my specialty is just giving these garages a personality. And I use graphics. We can use full scale, floor to ceiling imagery.
Yeah.
You can do text. You can put your favorite quote. If you have a quote from a favorite race car driver, you can put that inspirational quote on the wall.
Well, I know you had this flyer.
Yeah.
You had out there. Is that your work there?
Yeah. So that is not an actual garage. I just juxtapose that in Photoshop just to give an inspiration. It's like, hey, you are a Steve McQueen fan. Well, let's do a floor to ceiling image of him in the garage. That sort of thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, so I guess, so like you say, so it's kind of getting to get a feel for the family or the person, whomever it is that you're doing the work for, and what they might see as their need. For example, Ed Arango 20 years ago needed space for little kids and stuff, and toy section and all that. Fast forward 20 years now, and now Ed needs a bar and a cigar lounge, and and the kids are gone.
Right.
So it's a whole different mindset of what it is.
Yeah.
So if a client has their garage, let's say very raw, they don't have a hanging ceiling, or they don't have a ceiling, it's just rafters up there, and if it might be potential that they can do storage up in the attic with those pull down ladders or something like that. I mean, are those things that you guys would be able to drywall the walls up and things like that for them?
Yes. So we can bid the project out to contractors that could handle drywalling, and even there's some great motorized ceiling storage lifts that go up and down. So that's a possibility as well.
So do you find yourself, when you're designing and working on these garages, do you find yourself more trying to, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, which was utilizing as much of the space as possible and giving them, the clients, showing them, hey, we can do this? And do you present this to them like on a design software where they can kind of see it in 3D, what it would possibly look like?
We can do 3D, but typically I do 2-dimensional drawings. If we do 3D, I'd have to sub that out to someone.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's definitely something we can do. But I put together one of the first steps is I put together a mood board. So just to give them the whole feeling of what we're going for, so that maybe the cabinet finishes, paint colors, that the feeling of the garage. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. And then we move to elevations or 2-dimensional drawings of each wall. So, really getting the design of the cabinets, anything that's going to be on the walls. So you can get a really good idea from the 2-dimensional drawings.
So you'll come in and you will partake in the design of the cabinetry itself that's going to go up against the walls. Plus, do people have like choices on like what the doors and the panels look? I'm just thinking of I know that when you redo a kitchen, they give you all kinds of panel differences, but in the garages, is there choices in there too?
Sure. Yeah. And just depending on the level of the quality, I mean, we could even do kitchen grade cabinets in there, or we can do garage grade, but there's the laminate style. So yeah, the sky's the limit. I mean, really, we can do, just name it.
So, I mean, and a lot of times in the garage, I mean, at least I would have, a section that has, a cabinet that would have like a bunch of nasty chemicals, And I'm
Mhm.
sure at one moment or another that one of those chemicals is going to be sitting on the counter and it'll start seeping and making a mess or something like that. There are, and using, you know, a particle board or a laminate or something like that could get destroyed. Is there things that could be used in place of those things for that type of application?
Well, when we organize the garage, that's something that my organizer would take into consideration. Like, what are we going to be storing in here, and putting the appropriate containers. So whether that's something that's lined with metal, or, you know, the appropriate plastic to protect the shelves. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What step or portion of this process do you enjoy the most? What's like your favorite part of the whole process when you meet a new client, and let's say you've already shown them the colors and they've kind of gone, okay, yeah, let's go. What's the funnest part of this for you?
The most rewarding part is at the very end, and getting to see their faces
I thought
and
you were going to say
seeing,
the
like,
check. Okay, good. It's rewarding parts.
no, because until the end, as a designer, it's like your baby, and you just have butterflies, and you're like, oh, I hope they like this. And then just because I try to keep them out of the garage until everything is.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. Wow.
If possible. It really depends on the client. I mean, I'm not, if that's not their personality, if they don't want a surprise, then no problem. We'll work with you.
I mean,
but
yeah, I can imagine you're going to have clients that are kind of like sitting there watching every little thing you're doing in the garage. And then you're going to get clients that are, yeah, I mean, if you could get them to like step away and just kind of totally trust you on what you're doing, as long as you've got a good idea of what their vision is and what they want.
And I think, that's what's so important about the design process, is building that trust in the beginning and reassuring them that it's going to be fine. And when they fall in love with the design in the beginning, and they see that they're in good hands, hopefully they trust me and will let me run with it at that point.
So tell us a little bit more how that whole experience went with the Motor Trend episodes that you were involved in. How I know that it was with Chris Jacobs and the group there, and that you, I think I watched one of those episodes. The guy in Hesperia that had the red Corvette.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you guys did a wonderful job there. I mean, that garage went from to pretty dialed in,
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't really the whole. Do you see that more? I mean, in that episode, it seemed like the whole process did revolve around the red car, revolved around the car.
Yes. So with that project, the owner had requested, he loved red, and he had requested originally red cabinets. And that was one thing where I was like, oh gosh, I hope he's going to like what I'm going to do, because it's not going to involve red cabinets. I specifically wanted the car to be the star of the garage. And so that meant, creating a complementary color. Like we did all gray, just all different shades of gray. And we ended up calling that the Corvette Cave, because it really felt like even the ceiling was gray. And he had a washer and dryer also in the garage, but it was white and it really stood out. So we went and replaced that with like a graphite washer and dryer. He had a white refrigerator. We ended up putting under counter refrigeration. And then we did like little pops of red all throughout. So we had slat walls that had little shelves with model Corvettes on them. And we brought in some decorative books with red spines, Corvette books, and, red ladder, as red. We did a his and hers workstation. So we had, so we
was he a fireman? Oh no, he was in the medical field or something
like
that.
He was. Yeah. So he was going into battle every day. This was like early in COVID. This is about 9 months in, I think. So he was a very deserving participant in the show, and his wife wanted him to have a garage that he deserved. So it was an awesome garage to work on, and I think he liked it.
Yeah, no, it
He
seemed like he
liked it.
really did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance with any of your projects to with any of them to go back and revisit them since the finishing of the projects from the last time you walked away?
Not the ones on the show, have not, but a few that I have worked on. Yeah, I have visited with the clients, and it's amazing how an environment, how a really well-designed space can even change your the way you work. And when you end up with a great looking garage, you want to keep it that way. And so I've found that, clients are telling me, like, we used to leave stuff out all the time. Now it's just so perfect. We don't want it to look messy. And so they've kind of changed their habits as a result of the design.
Yeah,
So,
no, I would agree. I would think that people would do that. It'd be more again, the garage now is just not it is an extension of the home. So, if I'm not going to have a box full of junk and just throw it on my coffee table in my living room, I'm going, why would I, I'm not going to do that then in my garage. Once I get something here, I, try to move it around. And I would assume people would do that.
yeah.
As things go on.
Yeah. It's amazing how you would think that, the garage, the one room that many of your neighbors is the only room that they're going to see. Yet it is a complete mess.
That's a good point.
And I think about that. I'm an avid runner, and when I'm out on my daily runs and I see these garage doors open and just a complete disaster on the inside, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what does the rest of the house look like?
Yeah.
So I feel like the garage is the first impression that your home makes on someone, and it's really important to keep that looking good.
It's kind of funny because I know what you mean, because you'll see a garage door open and you see that pathway right through the middle to walk into the house, and that's all because it's all full of just junk stuff. And then on top of that too, sometimes what I have seen a lot, at least in my neighborhood, is that we'll go for walks around our neighborhood, and I'm the nosy guy. I'm always looking into people's garages as I walk by on my walks. And there's, I'll always see like a car under a cover with some boxes, like an old collector car. And I'm like, oh my God, look at that car in there. That guy's just like letting it get thrashed, and, and so it's funny because that is so true what you just said. That is the first thing that you do see, which is the garage. And it is kind of like an impression of who you are. You kind of see, Bob and Susie down the street, those guys are sloppy or something like that, because you see the garage. So,
right.
So yeah, that's so true. When you're in doing the work in the garage, have you had these guys ask you for, or girls or whomever, for a lot of electronics built into the garage, like fancy lights and stereo systems and television, big screens and all this stuff, and stuff popping out of the walls, or any of that stuff?
Not as much as I'd like, although we're heading in that direction. But like a flat screen television we've done, but other than that, nothing really. No huge AV projects yet, I say. But I would love to do some surround sound. I would love to work with somebody who wants to put a car simulator in their garage. Really take advantage of what we can do, because it's out there. We just haven't found that project yet.
Well, you know what it is that sometimes, I mean, in so many situations here in California or in Southern California, um, you know, the two-car garage is pretty normal for a home, I would think. I mean, it's nice when you can, for your average track home setup. I mean, you'll get three-car garages every once in a while popping up and things like that. But a lot of these people that have the ability to own two or three extra cars or a collection of cars or something like that, have to be able to keep cars in their garage, right? But then they've got their daily drivers that have to sit outside in the sun and get beat up,
Yeah.
That's the only thing that kind of sucks a little bit, because although I have an old car right here and under this cover, an old Alpha, my daily driver is worth much more money than this, but I can't keep that outside. I got to keep this thing. And my wife's like, why? I mean, that thing is, and I'm like, well, it is, but.
And then you start to get into the whole car storage.
Yeah. Then you start getting into like, yeah, okay.
Am I going to have to rent a space somewhere? Yeah.
Right. Yep. Now I got to go rent a space and the car storage thing is kind of becoming popular here,
starting to take off. Yeah,
I'm starting to see them kind of pop up a couple of places here and there. I know that on PCH, on Newport, on PCH, just like past a little past Rusty Pelicans and in that area before Irvine, or I think, or something like that. There's a little that used to be like an office building, but they gutted out the whole bottom floor, and now they have storage kind of done in there for autos, and I know that there's a number of little areas around Costa Mesa, Santa Ana. There are also storage places, even so I know that they're popping up. I know that Haggerty Insurance is one of the companies that I deal with a lot. They're doing these what do they call them? Cars and Social, I think it's what it's called, where they're actually going to start building warehousing or storage facilities for people for their cars, and then they're gonna try and have like cars and coffee type events there. They call them caffeine and octane or something like that. Something like that they call it. But yeah, I mean, I think that the storage thing, you get.
Have you been to the Finish Line Auto Club?
No, I haven't, but I know I've heard of that too.
That one is really cool.
Now, is that the one that's by the mall? Is that
it's the one near Lion Air Museum over near the airport.
Yeah. Okay.
That one these are car condos, and they have like a mezzanine level inside each one. And they also do a cars and coffee, so you can go check out the available spaces, but they are some really cool condos in the way they have them designed. And some of them have car simulators up on that mezzanine floor. And, talk about like there's a Porsche guy, and he's got a huge Porsche logo inside. Somebody did like a brick wall, full on bars inside their spaces. They're really cool.
So it is a, for all intents and purposes, it's a large warehouse, and there's like little garages inside the warehouse inside there.
Yes. And it's like a members only place where they have there's like a main clubhouse where they have events and meeting spaces and that sort of thing. And then they have individual car condos where they can just go and hang out with friends. And yeah. And then the cool thing is it's very social, and they open it up during their cars and coffee events. So you can really check it out and talk to the owners.
Right.
Very cool.
Is that an area or a space you would like to kind of gravitate to, and also be, be involved with and maybe helping with those types of locations?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I'm, trying to get my name out in the in the community and meet people. And what I'm finding is it's a matter of getting to know the car collectors and gaining that trust. And I'm just a newbie. Why would they hire me? So it's I think eventually, I'd like to, or I definitely would like to, but I think eventually I might get one of those jobs. So we'll see.
So do you know who I think Chris Erickson?
Secret Car Club.
Secret Car Club down in Rancho.
Yep.
Have you been to that yet down there?
I have not.
No, I've gone a couple of times down there. That's a good little that would be a good little spot for you to kind of stop by and visit with them there. That's a good group of people there.
Yeah, I know he does some pretty cool events.
Yeah. So I know that he's been involved to some level with the legacy guys over here. But yeah, the legacy is kind of, it's kind of like you want people to know about it, but you don't want people to know about it because you don't want it to get too big.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah.
And that's the only thing that kind of sucks a little bit about car events, because even if you go to Cars and Coffee, like right now down in San Clemente area,
Mm-hmm.
it's a wonderful event. But it is an event. It is every Saturday. It is a major thing, and there's hundreds of cars that come in, and it just kind of gets really big. And I've seen that happen. You start going to these cars and coffee type things. They start off kind of small, just a handful of guys, and then it turns bigger, and then before you know it,
you're getting kicked out.
Yeah, before you know it, you're getting kicked out. Before you know it, you've got the Mustang Club that shows up with 30 Mustangs, and then and then the GTR guys that show up with 15 GTRs, and it's a gazillion cars at one time, and they start getting closed down. So another thing that might not be also might be good is in June, the Friends of Steve McQueen's coming up in Chino.
Yes.
So that's probably not a bad venue, because you do get a lot of collectors there, and you get a lot of folks with the cars at that event, and that event's been going on for 15 years now. So,
yeah, I'm thinking about doing an auction item for that. So maybe design services. So you may see me there.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I saw that you've done some, or there is the possibility of you doing almost incorporating a bar into a bar. I mean, like alcohol bar, into a garage. Do you think there is, in a 2-car garage, you think there is enough space to be able to incorporate a comfortable sitting area, plus be able to keep a car in there at the same time?
Maybe not the 2 cars, maybe just the 1. Yeah, it might be a little tight. So maybe when it's being used as a bar, the car comes out.
Yeah.
Typically that'd be at nighttime. But yeah, we could, just depending on how many, if you're having a lot of bar stools, I don't know, or what else is in the cabinets. Could the bar stools be hidden away when they're not being used? So it really just depends on the owner and how much stuff is already in the garage.
It's kind of funny, because I can see the garage, even when we were talking about the AV stuff. We all have, maybe not all of us, but we have like a large family. So sometimes when you get a large family together for maybe a holiday or something like that, and you maybe even like a Thanksgiving dinner, can't get everybody, I don't want to sit at the little kids table anymore. I want to be able to be with everybody, at a larger space. So the garage could be made nice enough that you can kind of still entertain in it and host a dinner in it, if you had the tables, rent some tables or whatever, some some
Yeah,
folding tables.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
and plus you can pipe in the music and what have you.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let us know a little bit, Paige, that's the best way for folks to get a hold of you or learn a little bit more of what you've done and where they can see your work.
Sure. Well, to start, I'd say my website, which is designbypage.com. And for some odd reason, my parents decided to spell my name without an I. So it's just Page.
Like a
And I'm
page.
also on Instagram. It's just at designbypage and Facebook as well.
So I saw, do you go also by Garage Envy?
No, that was just a hashtag.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the hashtag you use as well.
Mhm.
Okay. So then it is at designbypage.com is probably the best way for folks to kind of learn a little bit about you and see. And you said you had the Instagram, so that would be at designbypage on Instagram. Okay. Well,
yep. And then while they're on the website, there's a request a design services guide, so they can just fill out the contact form, and I'll send them some more information about the different design packages that I offer.
okay, cool. So then people can go right on and they can kind of fill out a little questionnaire from you, and then they send it over to you, and then you'll respond back to them.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Well, hey, thank you so much for this time. Thank you for hopping on for a couple of minutes here with us and kind of giving us a little bit of ideas for garages, and that, the garage is an extension of one's home. And I think that, the collector world and the, seems to still be strong, and people, and I think just in general, a lot of times people just hang on to their cars a little bit longer than they have in the past. So yeah, why would you not make your garage kind of an extension of your home and make it as nice as possible, and not just that ugly, dark cave hole where you just go throw all your boxes in. I'm ending this with a bad mental picture of a garage. No, we don't want the garage to have a bad mental picture like that. Anyway, all right. Thanks, Paige.
Well, Ed,
thanks so much.
Thank you, Ed, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Enjoyed it.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
See ya. Bye.